So if you find yourself right now going through an unusual amount of up and down with motivation, with the desire to do something, this is a really good time to evaluate, is this an ego-centered dream or is this a heart-centered dream? When I asked myself, well, do I want to do music at all anymore? The answer was hell yeah, right? So then I kind of shifted into, well, what is my heart-centered dream? My heart-centered dream was not to be a famous musician, but it was actually to be in the studio and just create every day. I just wanted to create every day and have a free, fun life where I could be flexible and, you know, work in the studio whenever I want, take off whenever I want. And I wanted to inspire people and invoke emotion in people. That's what I do with music, right? Or writing, songwriting. That's what I wanted. And yes, I wanted to make good money.
Let me tell you that I've had this dream since I was 13, watching MTV.
Hello, hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Dreams Not Deferred. We're talking dreams today. Heart-centered dreams versus ego-centered dreams. Now, what do I mean by ego-centered dreams, and why is this important? Well, ego-centered dreams are not anything to be ashamed of. It's not just because something's material, like money or fame or whatever. It has nothing to do with that. Ego-centered dreams are things that you have come to believe that you want to achieve or to have in your life based on someone else's standards of what's successful or proper to have in life, your church, your school, your parents, your friend circle, just some belief of what you should have in life or what you should be doing, but not necessarily something that really, really rings true to your heart that feels like deeply fulfilling if you were to have it. It's more of like, yeah, that would be cool. I would look cool if I got this or did this. My family would accept me if I got this or did this. The world would say I'm okay and validate me if I got this. And a heart-centered dream is pretty much exactly how it sounds. Something that's deep in your heart that feels like fulfillment. No thing or success or goal or person is going to bring you fulfillment, but the experience itself from the journey to the actual thing is fulfilling, right? Why is this important? Well, ain't nobody got time to be chasing dreams or goals or things in life that aren't really relevant to your fulfillment, right? Just to make other people happy, just to maintain status with people. It just brings you stress because when you're chasing something that you don't really value, you're gonna, the second you come up against an obstacle, you're not gonna have the strength, the will, the inspiration to, get up, put the shoes on, and keep going, right? Either way, you're gonna have days, even with heart-centered dreams, where you're just tired. You're just overwhelmed, you're sad, you're mad, and that's totally normal. So I'm not saying that either way, every day you're gonna be like, yeah, I made 100 phone calls today. No, but when the challenges come, if you are chasing an ego-centered dream, then it's going to be three times as hard to try to push through. And you're just going to feel empty when you get there, I promise. Okay, now again, while no thing, person, place, success, whatever can make you feel fulfilled, the journey will. But not with an ego-centered dream, okay? Because you'll just get to the point where, oh, yeah, everybody is praising me and that's cool. And at first, it's going to feel really good to get validation. I feel special. I feel attractive. I feel like, just part of the crew. And that is a positive feeling, but it doesn't last very long. And you do it at the expense of all of the things that really, really feel good to you. You just kind of forget about them because you can't do it all. So it is very important to differentiate. So if you find yourself right now going through an unusual amount of up and down with motivation, with the desire to do something, this is a really good time to evaluate, is this an ego-centered dream or is this a heart-centered dream? And again, I want to reiterate that There's nothing wrong with wanting material things. This has nothing to do with you needing to explain or defend whatever it is you want. If you want to be a billionaire, cool. If you want to, find the love of your life, if you want to have 10 girlfriends or boyfriends, what that is your business. I don't know how you do that all, but that is up to you. Anyways, ego-centered just means that it's not something that brings any sort of fulfillment. So if you're feeling like you're really unmotivated, this is the time to maybe evaluate. How do you know if your dream is more ego-centered? Well, if you don't have much of a why behind this dream, let's say you want to you want to become a YouTuber or a TikToker, you want to be an influencer and have billions of followers and be wealthy. Cool. Nothing wrong with that. Why? And again, this is not to explain to anyone else. You don't have to justify being a billionaire. Okay? People make you feel like you have to because nobody should be a billionaire. We're not doing that here. Okay? You do you. But you have to know and be honest with yourself. Why do you want this? Okay? Is it because it would just be really cool and fun and maybe you want the validation and the love from others? Maybe you want to feel significant. That was my reasoning when I was honest with myself behind wanting to initially be a famous musician, be Beyonce, right? For nearly 2 decades. That's what I wanted. That's what I was going after, all or nothing. That's what I thought I wanted. But now in hindsight, I know that what I wanted at that time was to feel significant, to feel special, to feel like I mattered and people would remember me, which is strange because I have no trauma in my family around like not feeling enough. My parents are amazing. My family is amazing. No one ever made me feel, like I needed to prove myself, but I don't know. Maybe it's like in my genes or something. Maybe my parents or my grandparents felt that way, but anyhow, I realized that it was an egocentric dream when I asked myself why, and I couldn't give a good answer. My answers were very fake. Well, if I had like a good platform, well, first of all, I'd be able to do what I love every day, which is true, but I don't have to be rich and famous for that, right? If I had a platform, I could like, just like really inspire a lot of people. But I could feel when I would say it that it was not true. Not that I don't want to inspire people and like spread joy, but I knew that in my heart that wasn't the way I needed to do it. When I asked myself, well, do I want to do music at all anymore? The answer was hell yeah, right? So then I kind of shifted into, well, what is my heart-centered dream? My heart-centered dream was not to be a famous musician, but it was actually to be in the studio and just create every day. I just wanted to create every day and have a free, fun life where I could be flexible and, work in the studio whenever I want, take off whenever I want. And I wanted to inspire people and invoke emotion in people. That's what I do with music, right? Or writing, songwriting. That's what I wanted. And yes, I wanted to make good money. And good money for me is different than it might be for you, but I wanted to be able to eventually, buy a nice house and take care of my family and build, generational wealth. That's my heart's desire. Why was it important for me to figure that out? Well, first of all, so that I didn't waste my time continuing to try. And let me just say before I go into that, the journey, while it was beautiful, that first chunk of my life that I was going after this stardom, it was full of challenges as any journey would be, but there was so much depression and anxiety and just like I was walking on rocks, like sharp rocks through the whole journey. And I had moments of great joy and fulfillment at times, but man, the obstacles didn't just feel like difficult moments to overcome. They felt like every step of the way, something was off, something was missing. And that was such a strange thing. I just thought maybe it's just depression itself. It runs in my family. I just have to deal with depression. But as soon as I had this revelation about this not being my heart's desire, I did go through a period of loss and grief where I felt like I was letting go of who I thought I was. And that was really sad. And it was tough for a few years. But now when I have a challenge, I'm just like, oh, damn it. It's annoying. It's frustrating. And yes, sometimes you get a little sad or bummed out if something doesn't work out. But I'm more just impatient because that's my personality. I'm impatient. There's not this feeling of constant, weight on my shoulders like there was. So, anyways, enough about me. Just using that as an example, think about the things that you have said you wanted in your life. Everything from relationships to family to money to where you want to live, all of the things. And ask yourself why. And just keep saying why, why, why. Why do you want it? Okay, well, why do you want that? Well, why would you want to feel that? What would that do for you? Like, keep investigating gently with yourself and try to get to the bottom of it so that you can really know, is this something that's positive? Is this something that's, for example, because I want validation, because I want people to like me, or I want to feel important. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but is that a really valuable, fulfilling reason to do something? That's up for you to decide. I would say for me, no, which is why I moved away from that path. Um, so just question yourself. And this is why meditation and mindfulness is so great. Not just so you can try to clear your thoughts for an hour, but so that you can kind of get to the deeper root of things in your life. Um, yeah, the first time that you start getting to those big obstacles in your plan, right? That's a good time to see if your dream is really heart-centered because when it is, challenges will be annoying. You'll get disappointed, you'll get tired and not want to put in the work some days. You'll get sick and you'll take time off. Normal. But there will still be this underlying feeling of this is going to happen. I'm going to make this happen one way or another. There's still that little spark in your chest of like, yeah, this is meant to be. I'm doing this versus, well, this is just how life is. It's challenging, so we just got to go even harder and what there's just a different feeling underneath it. The other thing is when you look at the challenges, for example, if you are experiencing a negative emotion around your dream, maybe you want to be a YouTuber, an influencer, podcaster, or something, and you're really afraid of or you're super sensitive to negative comments. I am. So I just did this exercise with myself this past week. Whenever I see a notification on YouTube, because my Instagram is mostly just my friends and my family and people I do music with. So they're all loving and kind and they're never going to say anything mean to me. YouTube is the Wild West. It has strangers I don't know that see my videos and some people from my past who are not kind that just keep following me and disliking all my videos just because they can. I see you. I know who you are. But anyways, when I see that notification that someone commented on a video, I'm like, ugh, my stomach drops and I don't even want to look at it because what if it's mean and they're mean to me? I don't want to see it because it hurts. And listen, for everybody, unless you totally are just so confident you really do not care about what anyone thinks. I'm a pretty confident person, but I'm not to that level, clearly. Then it's gonna hurt, and it's totally normal and okay to feel hurt by people saying mean things or disliking what you're trying to put out. So let me just say that first. But when those moments happen, when you're having that negative emotion or reaction to a stumbling block or an uncomfortable part of your journey, start asking those questions. Well, wait a minute. Why am I doing this? Okay, why am I posting these YouTube videos? Because I love to share information that helped me and hopefully help someone else. That feels really good to me to talk about the things that I talk about, to share the content. I also like to entertain people. Hopefully, I'm slightly entertaining. It just makes me feel good, and I love to connect with people, and I love to build kind of like a community and a safe space where people feel comfortable sharing. So that's a pretty good reason. So when I review that and tell myself, this is why we're doing this, then it still hurts to get a negative comment or have a stumbling block in your way, but it doesn't feel so severe. And it feels like, all right, this sucks, but we're going to move through it. When you have an ego-centered dream that is all about, well, I need validation and I want people to like me or I want to be popular and cool. Nothing wrong with that. This is not a moral discussion, but you have to be honest with yourself. If that is your reasoning, you're going to have a really hard time mentally getting over these moments. If that was my goal with YouTube and posting these videos to get an audience so that I feel special, um, I would not make it. And that was a lot of my reasoning in the past, if I was honest about putting out music. It was because I wanted people to see how good I was and tell me that I was amazing, because it made me feel special because I didn't love myself. Now that I can say I confidently love myself, every aspect of myself, no, working on it. There are things that I probably will always want to change that I probably never will. That's totally normal. I wish that my skin was different. You can't see, but it is unbelievably dry. I have like elephant skin at times, and I'm working on that, but it's not something that is so important to me that I'm like, I need to get plastic surgery. It's not that big of a deal. Anyways, I don't even know why I brought that up, but anyways, point being, now that I am in a place where I don't feel like I need validation, where I'm honest about my true desires and why I want those things, um, I can move forward through these times much easier. So ask yourself why. When you're coming up with the challenges, discover, right? Just be curious and question, and don't be in a rush to try to figure it out all at once. Just give yourself a little time to gently investigate what's going on. Bottom line is why it's important to understand the difference between an ego-centered dream and a heart-centered dream is because number one, if you are focused on these ego-centered dreams, you're going to waste a lot of your life, as I did, chasing things that don't really have a lot of meaning. And you get really depressed, anxious, stressed, frustrated along the way, much more than you would if you had a heart-centered dream. And also, I promise you, if you do achieve these things that are ego-centered, you will not feel fulfilled when you actually achieve them. When you get there, just like Jim Carrey said, I wish everybody could be rich and famous so that they could discover that it's not really it. It's not the thing. It's so true. I've achieved certain things that when I got there, I felt empty. And it's because it was an ego-centered dream. So I hope this helps somebody today, and I love you guys. See you later.
We're trying so hard to be alright. Yeah, we're trying so hard to be alright.